Welcome to another episode of the Mixtape Matinee. I'm your host, Cole, and unfortunately, I am writing solo today. Court is feeling a little under the weather, but this is a interesting, unique episode. We had the opportunity to interview a filmmaker. His name is Guilford Adams, and he just made this new documentary called American Clown.
And the teacher was like, go ahead, tell them what you want to be when you grow up. And I was like, a clown? And nobody laughed, and it just super embarrassing. He's trying to teach me a lesson.
Did it work?
No, I don't think so.
I think of the absurdity of being a clown as a job, and sometimes you can get ready to go to a gig, and you look at yourself in the mirror, you're like, what am I doing?
Clowning as an art form is a state of mind. It's telling the audience, I'm living through everything you're living through, but I'm failing at it. And hopefully that's funny.
I said, Mom, Dad, I got into clown college. They're like, oh, hell no, you're not going to clown. You're going to college.
I'm first American generation, so my parents had specific guidelines for me. When I told my mom that I wanted to go to clown college, she said, you're not going to go to clown college. It was a nightmare.
If it wasn't having to accept that I was gay, it was that I was a clown too. Sorry.
Well, that's what I want to do. I just want to be an idiot in front of people.
I'm not going to try to be the wittiest person in the room. I can fall on my face and it will work every time.
I mean, I am a 47-year-old man with a hip replacement. I fractured my skull twice. I broke my back 3 times.
The first week, I was hospitalized in the middle of the night, having split my head, skateboarding drunk.
He was always like, I'm gonna do a backflip off the 2nd story of our hotel with my hand on fire, get the footage. We'd be like, yeah, Steve-O.
I've gotten messages from some professional clowns like, how dare you do this to the craft?
I'm looking for just a nose. We don't have a nose, we have that. Mask, or you can have it.
Now clowns in the mainstream are the horror movies.
It was a clown death, man. Like, they just started drifting and fading away, and
Clowning as we know it it's gone.
Which is going to be showing in LA on June 23rd at the Chinese Theater at 7 p.m. Tickets will be on all the different links that will link to this episode, but had a really good conversation with Guilford and basically talking about clowning as an art form and how in these modern times it's kind of an art form that's looked down upon now. A lot of people, think of it as something scary because of all the, different movies and different perceptions that have been out. And so Guilford wanted to make this film about the art form and, him being a clown himself and being kind of in that world. He knows kind of what clowning is, and he just wanted to tell a true, honest story about clowning in America. So without further ado, here is the interview with Guilford Adams. Anyway, we want to welcome Guilford Adams on to the podcast. He's an actor, writer, and new director of this new movie, American Clown. So welcome on the show, Guilford.
Thanks, Cole. I appreciate being here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we were really stoked when your team reached out to us to have you, get this little interview set together. So that was kind of interesting. I'm not sure how you heard about us, but so thanks so much. Yeah, so I watched the trailer and it looks so interesting. And I guess the main question that the most obvious one is, what made you want to make this movie, this documentary?
I've been out in LA for a long time. I've in one of the jobs that I had when I first got out here. I went to college to be an actor,
mm-hmm.
But I was always very interested in clowning. I came kind of as an athlete into drama.
Mm-hmm.
And it was unusual, and it happened during college and not high school when a lot of people kind of fall in love with acting. So instead of musicals, I was kind of an athlete, and so when I got into acting classes, I just loved being physical, and I was attracted to Shakespeare and kind of being all these servant roles and all this stuff. So when I moved out to LA to pursue an acting career, I really needed part-time work while I auditioned, and so I worked as a clown on the weekends. I did other things initially, but I decided I didn't like to do the headed characters in a clown rental company or a party rental company. So I made my own company at the time called Clowns for Hire, became Los Angeles Clown Company. And I started doing this is God, this is before the WW the web. I mean, this is like
Hmm.
back in this is back in Yellow Books. For anyone out there, if there's anyone, you had to be like a clown for hire. Like you had to be an
Right.
A in the yellow pages to even
Uh-huh.
gain traction because you wouldn't want to do Zebra Entertainment or something because they'd never get to you.
Right.
So I became Los Angeles Clown Company, and then I started doing clown stuff, and I was doing a lot when I was younger. I still do a fair amount. And one of those jobs landed to work with a company that had kind of a clown with benefits, which is kind of unheard of.
Hmm.
And I did some Googling and I figured out what I thought the company was.
Right.
But to audition, and I did, and I became a member of this Field Ronald McDonald program. And I did that for 10 years, working as an assistant to Ronald McDonald. And it was about that time, and I'm telling you this sort of long-winded story because it was about that time that the Ronald program closed. I was a new father with twins. That closed. The circus closed down. Ringling Brothers closed their doors. Big Apple Circus closed their doors. This is like it just felt like, whoa, what is going on right now? It was
Hmm.
coming out again, the reissue or the new it, and it was just like, whoa, is this? And I had a friend who for years had been bugging me about doing a documentary of my life and filming and stuff. And then I was like, well, and I never was interested, but then when all the stuff was closing, I was like, well, maybe we should be documenting kind of what's
Yeah.
going on here because it just for this, even if we never use it, because this is never going to happen again.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know? And so that's kind of where it started. And then so I started documenting kind of like the my last shows, assisting Ronald in the field, and then I was talking to other clowns about kind of what's going on. I live in Southern California, and there was a lot of stuff like scary clowns coming to Southern California. There was all these clown scares and weird stuff, and it just felt like who's pushing this? Like what is going on? And and then we muddled through this a little bit, then the pandemic hit. And after the pandemic hit, and we all started crawling out of our respective holes, so to speak, I started kind of reaching out to other clowns and saying, "What's going on with you? As things are things picking up?" And I had always wanted the documentary to kind of be because there are successful parts of clowning. There's
Mm.
medical clowning that's still pretty vibrant and doing a lot of good work, and there's Puddles Pity Party does a lot of great stuff. I mean,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
there's successful stuff going on, but by and large, there's a lot of I guess a lot of strange clown ambassadors. When you have horror clown ambassadors, you're not being,
Yeah.
I think, really elegantly sort of like represented.
Gotcha.
If your job is to make kids laugh and the guys that are like the heads of state are Pennywise and Art the Terrifier, then like
Yeah.
you're in trouble. You're in
Yeah.
trouble.
Yeah. No, that's an interesting idea. Did you go to clown school then?
I didn't. I auditioned in 1997, and then
Hmm.
I fell short of doing the paperwork. It's a story that I went
Yeah.
out and auditioned, and I was like, ah, and I think I just graduated with a BFA in acting, and I kind
Yeah.
of felt like they should have seen how good I was, and so I didn't fill out this very comprehensive 14-page form. And doing
Okay.
this documentary and really talking to other clowns and realizing that every single one of them did it.
Gotcha.
I don't even know if I was a contender. I'd like to say I was rejected, but I
Gotcha.
don't even know if that's true. I
That's
never did the paperwork.
that's
Uh,
funny.
but I did do
Um,
the audition. But anyway, so then that was the
yeah.
last year they did it. Then they cut it off, and that was 1997 was the last year of Clown.
Oh, I didn't know that. Interesting. So, how long was this process of, from the idea inception of doing the movie and then to actually making it?
Well, I think we started filming 2017. And
Mm.
so we're just, I did my last interview probably late last year, and we're
Hmm.
still doing so. It's 2025, so it's been about eight
Okay.
years of doing this thing.
Right. So you just barely got done editing everything then?
Yeah. I mean, I would say we've added, there's always tweaks and there's always little things.
Hmm.
I think we've had kind of what I would call a soft picture lock for the past 3 months, but then I have three or four producers on it. And so every once in a while, somebody will say, hey, can we change that. We've got a fair use lawyer going through stuff now, and she'll say that's not necessarily a good thing. You should probably get rid of that. So then we have to go back, and so there's tightening and like just
Right.
iron out
Hmm.
here and there.
Now you're co-directing this movie, is that right?
That's right. So originally Scott Barber was directing with me. He did Guar and then the Orange Years, and then he's just had some family stuff that he's got to kind of he's homeschooling and all that sort of stuff,
Hmm.
and it just felt like it was too much for him to kind of
Gotcha.
chew on. So my editor, Casey Pinkston, who's done a bunch of stuff and also worked on Quar, who Scott actually recommended, just was fantastic as an editor. And this is my first feature film, and
Yeah.
so there's a lot of things that I need help with as far as editing and cutting and stuff. And so
Right.
I just felt like I need another set of eyes, and so I kind of moved them up to co-director with me.
Awesome. How did you get you have a lot of big names on this movie. You got Steve-O, you got David Arquette and John C. Riley. How did all of those interviews get set up?
Sure, I mean, really just friends of friends. I've actually John C. Riley, I did his kids' parties. I mean, I'm a
Oh.
Los Angeles party clown, so I did his kids are 25 now, and I did their fifth and sixth birthday, I think. So it was 20 years ago. And that's not uncommon. That's not uncommon
Hmm.
for to be at a party like, oh, you did my kid's party, and then I'll look,
Yeah.
it's a grown adult. Like that's crazy. Like I've been
Wow.
doing this for a long time. And then, a lot of clowns, because it's kind of a small circle, that's how I got John with Steve-O. He went to clown school on that year that I graduated, or that I didn't get into clown school. A lot of the people that I've kind of come up with and that I've met over
Yeah.
the years did go to that year, and Steve-O was also one of those. So my friend Matt Walker, who's also who I've worked with a lot over the past 20 years. He runs Troubadour Theater Company here in LA. He knows Steve-O, and I mean several of my friends do, but I kind of contacted him through that. And Bill Irwin, again, another friend that went to clown school in 97. It really was a golden year. I don't know if
Hmm.
it's because that was the last year, but I know so many of the 97 graduates. Bill Irwin, who is basically the North Star to any clown that's in my generation, and maybe other generations. He did Pickle Family Circus. He was in Popeye. He's done it all. He's a Tony Award winning actor as well, but he's a master clown. I got him through my friend Ambrose, who's also in the doc. And then David Arquette, I did a movie with David Arquette in 2016 called Saving Flora with Jenny Ortega before she became kind of the big star that she is. And I reached out to him. I knew he had he's people don't think of him as a clown. I mean, obviously he's an actor.
Yeah.
He has a unique story in that he bought the rights to Bozo, and uh and Bozo is just such a huge part of this story. I felt like I needed to talk to David and get his kind of insight on it. And
Yeah.
he's a multi-generational performer. His grandfather was a performer, his dad, his mom. I mean, so it's
Yeah. Do you know what's the story with him getting the rights to Bozo?
I just know that it played such a big part in his life. I don't know
Right.
what he spent on it or
Gotcha.
anything like that. He just bought the rights, and I think part of his mission is it's allied with mine, and that he just wants to send a little more positivity. That there's a lot of work that clowns can do that I think we're not getting booked to do, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that clowns used to do that I think maybe that they I don't know, the audience or people feel like they've fallen out of favor to do those jobs.
Gotcha. Yeah.
We're heavily represented in the horror front, but there's
Yeah.
a bunch of other stuff that we do. So I
Yeah.
think his mission is to kind of spread a little bit of love and joy there.
Oh, that's cool. On the poster of the movie, I saw, you kind of asked the question, what happened to the American clown? I mean, I know that's probably what you answer in the movie, but is there an answer that you can give? Like, why did this happen?
I mean, I have a theory, right?
Hmm.
I think it's a confluence of events. I feel like it's such an overused term now, like a
Hmm.
perfect storm. But there's a couple things at play here, and part of it is just a very sort of societal, sort of like self-correction a little bit. I mean, there's a lot of things that we do. I was talking to somebody yesterday. There's just a lot of things that we do as a society, like well, part of it is a hysteria, right? Part of there's just no doubt about it that clowns are the punching bag for a lot of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I don't know why that is. So let me give you an example. So Southern California in 2016, 2017, the news was just like it's what started off in South Carolina. Like, I still don't know where the genesis of the story happened. It actually even go further back to Southampton, England. They were scary clowns in public parks doing weird sort of stuff, not doing anything, but just looking scary and maybe
Yeah.
chasing a car or something. Then all of a sudden they spot them in Southern California, South Carolina, other kids in a latex mask doing whatever. Then, then maybe there's stuff in New Mexico. I don't know the whole trajectory of it. But I do know Southern California, a month later, some news anchor, got, hey, there's scary clowns coming to Southern California. And for anyone that's like young and 16 or 17, they hear that and they're going to be like, I know what we're doing this weekend, guys. Like it's not a hard thing to,
Yeah.
to figure out. So the minute they did that, and it's sort of the kind of fanning this flames of this weird hysteria, I think a couple things are happening. It's right before a presidential election
Mm-hmm.
that people think involves a reality star. It's also it's a weird blending. All these news agencies are now owned by entertainment companies, and so there's I think a weird blending of like, is it news? Is it entertainment? Is it like we don't really know. We just know
Yeah.
it's getting traction. We're
Mm-hmm.
gonna go with that. You know,
Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
maybe in news is slow elsewise. We got a couple different things. Do we have anything else, Fred? We got Clowns and Scary coming to California. Okay, let's do that.
Let's put that in there. Yeah.
So so I think that kind of happened. And then and I say this, and I've said this before, that clowns don't have great PR people. We're not organized. There's not a union of us. There's not like sharks have better PR people than we do. They get a whole week on TV, and for
Yeah.
us, it's like I don't know. No one's. There's no spokesperson for us. So
Yeah.
I think we just became kind of this deliberate punching bag. It was like, and it's also a unifying thing. People can be unified about some strange stuff. And one of the things that I find it's fashionable right now to be very unified about not liking clowns. I mean, they
Yeah.
could tell you why. The only other thing that I can think that's even close to this is people not liking Nickelback. I don't know why
There
they
you
say they
go.
don't like Nickelback. I couldn't tell you a Nickelback song, but everyone universally, if you say Nickelback, don't like them. Don't
Yeah.
like them at all. Like it's just weird
Yeah.
because
This
that's
weird
how we
thing.
build community.
Yeah.
We build it by being haters of stuff. So
Yeah. Huh.
I think that's kind of what happened. So that put it kind of on a weird little orb around.
Yeah.
And then, and here's the real clincher is there's nothing because we don't have other representation, like a week of learning how sharks are, and they really don't bother humans if they're in the water. Yeah, they're great white, they're super scary, but but there's none of that. There's just more horror clowns. So it's not like we're not able to walk back the messaging by
Yeah.
showing some positivity.
Yeah. Misunderstood.
Yeah, and then so it
Yeah.
just keeps happening. So then
Mm-hmm.
people, it just starts to be kind of ingrained. It's kind of like, I don't want to name any names. If you keep saying the same thing over and over and over, people are like, well, I mean, saying it over and over. I don't know why he's saying it like that. I mean, it seems
Yeah.
got to be true, right? Why would you say it over and over if it's not true? So I think there's
Yeah.
an element of that. And so we're being represented by people that keep, oh, I do want to kill kids. If the Catholic Church, if we didn't have any sort of other encounters with nuns or priests, we would just assume in America's cinematic culture that everyone is performing an exorcism or is going to be like an evil nun and run after us. But because we have other interactions with those people, we're like, oh, not all nuns are evil, actually. No,
Hmm.
just the one on the TV thing that was
Yeah.
people.
Huh.
So I don't think we ever have a way of kind of washing out sort of the taste and of
Right. Yeah.
punishing or of
Yeah. That makes sense.
exonerating
Yeah.
this behavior from a fictional character
Yeah.
by real people who don't do that.
You don't understand it fully. Yeah.
There's one other thing too that I think is an important caveat is the term is used very loosely to a lot of people. And I'll give you an example. These are not clowns. Whatever these people were with like a latex mask in a park or doing whatever, that's not a clown. A clown usually has skills or whatever. That's a person in a latex scary clown mask,
Mm-hmm.
that's what that is. If it'd be like saying if I was somebody dressed in a cop uniform and I pulled over a car and I did something horrible to that person, the news would not report that. Is a cop pulled over a car and then did that over because that's inaccurate. They would say a person dressed in a police uniform, pulled over this car. So I find it just a little bit alarming and kind of weird that they would
Mm-hmm.
just say that name can be used so liberally.
Right. Yeah.
Clown, professional. I
Yeah.
mean, they're not saying professional; they're saying clown. But there's you're kind of getting friendly fired out of this thing. Just
Right.
like
Yeah.
being this thing.
That makes sense. So, also on this podcast, I mean, we talk about movies, but we also talk about music. Is there any music that has kind of inspired you as a director, or specifically inspired the movie?
Oh yeah, I mean Wilson, Rocky Moon, I think goes by Rocky Moon. He did the soundtrack. It's so good. Like I really want to pull it out and stream. When I heard his music and I heard the stuff he put on it, it's got
Mm-hmm.
like this T-Rexy glam rock. He's an
Oh,
awesome
cool.
artist. It is so good.
Yeah.
I love so that's we really kind of wanted to do. I had ideas for things, but as you probably assumed or might even know, it's so expensive to get any rights to music and stuff
Yeah.
that's done. So having an original score, not only was it so delightful and some great songs,
Yeah.
it just was it just it, I don't it really kind of brought I think it brought all the material up to a certain level where
Yeah.
like, oh my God, this song was
Yeah.
originated for this. So he could write it to the
That's
documentary
cool.
as opposed to like
I'll have
just
to
trying to make things fit.
I'll have to check that guy out. Yeah. So do you have any advice for up and coming filmmakers with this being your first debut movie?
I mean, what they do say often is they say, and I'm friends with the Duplass brothers, and they're both wonderful guys, and they've done their own stuff, and I've heard them talk, and they've been, oh, do your own movie, if you worked a job, do it on the weekends, all
Mm-hmm.
that sort of stuff, and that's all true, and it took me 7 years to do this documentary,
Yeah.
and it really just, and it could have taken longer, right? If I felt like to fit 90 minutes, if I keep adding interviews, I got to take
Yeah.
people out, or like it's full of
Right.
people that I want. I could do another documentary, but then that's going to be a different documentary. I can do American Clown too, maybe. But
Yeah.
I think getting it done, great. After it, it's going to be a whole nother process. It's almost like, and I don't know if I knew that, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like a triathlete. You get done with the swimming portion, and you're like, oh God, that was like great to get on the bike. It's a bike? It's a bike? They get on the bike. Oh my God, dude, it's a bike? I thought this was, that's what it feels like because now I'm in
Right.
the bike version, and I'm still not to the running part. So it's a journey, and to give yourself enough time to do that. Another thing, conserve your money. I've had some wonderful editors on the project and some people that have done just a great, awesome job. The first editor I had that did a really good kind of check at it. I spent a lot of the budget, my loose sort of just self-financed, so I didn't do any crowdfunding. That's my own personal decision.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just didn't want to do that. I wanted to keep
Gotcha.
it in-house. That is a great route. Maybe I could have done that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it as a producing aspect, it helps create awareness for the project. I'm not saying that's a bad route. I just didn't do it.
Right. Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I guess it's probably a good thing, because like everybody seems to find their own way when they're making films like that. So I was told, the movie will be premiering June 23rd at the Chinese Theater. Is that right?
That's correct. It's going to be it's in that little complex. So it's in Hollywood,
Okay.
Hollywood Highland at a TCL. I think there's a sixplex in there right by the Grauman's. It's going to be on June 23rd at 7 p.m. That's a Monday.
Yeah.
And
And where can people buy the tickets for that? Just day of or online or?
Dances with Films would be
Okay.
they should be online in the next day or two. So at Dances with Films,
Okay.
June 23rd, which is, like I said, a Monday at 7. It's going to be fun. It's right there. There's a plenty of parking downstairs. You can
Mm-hmm.
get your ticket validated. You're right there in Hollywood. If you haven't been there in a while, it's awesome. It's actually going to be a lot of fun. And afterwards,
Yeah.
we'll have, drinks and stuff upstairs. So it's all kind of like right there in the same sort of building. It's really cool.
Awesome. Yeah, so if you live in the LA area, definitely go check out the movie on June 23rd. Is the movie going to be available after that? Are you working on that distribution and stuff?
We'll find a distributor.
Okay.
That's the hope, is that, either in this festival or other festivals, we are an independent production. So it might take a little bit. We're also considering doing kind of a limited theatrical run and kind of traveling, kind of almost like a little trunk show, traveling with
Cool.
experience with clowns and everything. So
Oh,
that's
that's
also kind of on the horizon, I believe.
awesome. That's so exciting. Yeah, I can't wait to watch it eventually, hopefully. Um, is there any socials you want to plug for people to follow?
Sure, absolutely. American Clown Movie, at Instagram, American Clown Movie. And then you can always visit us, americanclownmovie.com. And we should, and Ginger Kid Productions, because you can stay tuned. He's one of the producers, and you can stay tuned for all the stuff that comes through there. But if you do American Clown Movie, you'll be, I'll post. I mean, it's just starting on that Instagram, so there's not a whole lot there yet, but we'll just start posting. And I'm waiting on we just got the sort of the date. So I'm waiting kind of on all the specifics and when tickets go on sale, and I'll post on that Instagram.
Well, that's so exciting, Guilford. I'm super excited for you and for this movie to come out. I hope everybody goes out and checks it out, and definitely start following those socials. And I guess the last note to end on is it's kind of funny that you're making this film about clowns. Is like my great grandpa was a clown. He was a Shriners clown, and so we have a lot of different photos of him. Maybe I'll send you a photo of him. But yeah, even in our family, we realized that he did a lot of good work with the Shriners and with kids and children's, and then I've had other family members that have been involved with the Ronald McDonald House, and it's just a great organization. And so I totally get where you're coming from, and clowns can do a lot of good. So yeah, we definitely need to keep this going and keep clowning alive. And I'm sure that you promote it all the time, but yeah. And I guess the last question would be, where do you see clowning going from here?
I don't think clowning's going away. And, when I do a younger, I think like everything, it's got kind of like, it's going to be kind of like it's coming back around. And if I do a lot of parties, I do a lot of adult parties. When I do a party for like a 30 something, they're always like, I love clowns, man. It just feels like it's coming back around,
Right.
It's coming back around. We'll live to survive another day, I think.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Guilford, for being on the podcast. Again, we appreciate it so much, and good luck to you.
Thanks so much for having us, Cole. I really appreciate it.